Okay, so we have to talk about the rank 1 Zeri player. Zeri is kind of a strange champion. AD carries in general suffer early and dominate late, but Zeri takes that to the absolute extreme. She gets schooled during the lane phase, and not inting with her at this stage can be quite the challenge. But if you manage to reach the late game, Zeri is completely insane. However, the Korean Zeri player Igigo싶랴아 apparently knows a couple of things about the champion that other players don't. Not only does he have a 70% win rate on Zeri, but he also plays her in 1000 plus LP Korean Challenger solo queue, making him the highest ranked Zeri player in the world. How can he play a champion that volatile but still win that consistently at the top of the ladder? First of all, Igigo싶랴아 is well aware of Zeri's weaknesses as a champion. He will play the lane phase very carefully, always staying at max range to make it impossible for the enemy to engage on him. He knows that his win condition is surviving lane so he can pop off later. He will even go so far as to frequently recall when the lane is pushed, as this means there will be zero chance for the enemy jungler to gank him while the minions are slow pushing back. This also ensures that he will stay at full health, making it even harder for the enemy to take advantage of Zeri's weak early game. All Zeri needs is reliable access to her minions in order to safely scale with farm. And he seriously doesn't take any chances. As soon as the wave is pushed, he recalls again, making his lane impossible to gank. Push, base, repeat. As long as you don't completely fail at farming under tower, this strategy is foolproof. Igigo싶랴아 even starts with the item Cull, fully committing to the power farming playstyle, but more on itemization later in the video. The longer you can farm for free, the better, but at some point you'll naturally want to start grouping with your team. Zeri's ultimate especially is an invaluable teamfighting tool, and whenever it is available, the rank 1 player will look for an opportunity to use it. But keep in mind that you should never try to force a play. Never mindlessly go in just because your ult is ready. You have to be patient and wait for the right moment. Also, the same logic from your lane phase still applies here. You want to play at max range, and if you get caught, you have to disengage immediately. Despite being close to his tower and having Leona with him to back him up, Igigoጵ랴아 didn't hesitate to dash away instantly. Always play it safe. But when his enemy is the one getting caught, Igigoጵ랴아 doesn't second guess himself either. You want to fully commit with Zeri's ultimate right away. A kill like this can go a long way, and by stacking Zeri's ult even though it's just a single enemy, you are always ready if that enemy has backup. It's a guaranteed play. I'll try to better explain what I mean. Please pay close attention to this ultimate right here. You will now probably be able to see why it was important to use it. It looked like Alistar would just die for free, but as soon as his team tried to back him up, Zeri ulted immediately. To the untrained eye, it might have been a waste, but the ult was actually super valuable. It forced the enemy to retreat, since waiting until Zeri's ult fizzles out is the best counterplay, and Igigoጵ랴아 took advantage of that. But in order for that to work, you must find a careful balance between farming side waves and grouping with your team. When isolated, you are quite helpless, even in the late game. Be honest, how did that make you feel? Playing AD carry is truly a stressful job if you ask me. But as long as you stay grouped, situations like these are more than manageable. Even better, you can use the enemy's tunnel vision to your advantage. They will always go for the AD carry, but Zeri in the late game is both strong and mobile, allowing you to quickly retreat to safety. Again, take note how the rank 1 player always instantly ults whenever he's in a fight. It is always worth it. Even if he now doesn't have his R for the following Baron fight, Zeri is still extremely dangerous for the enemy at that stage, and due to the pick on Rengar, Zeri's team is still fighting with numbers advantage. The playstyle can really be broken down to always stay safe during lane and always ult immediately during any fight. And these concepts can also be found in igigoshphpiaa's Zeri runes and items, as his choices 100% reflect his consistent strategy. By the way, keep in mind that if you want to have educational league content like this in your personal feed, all you need to do is click the subscribe button. The rank 1 player's safe and consistent Zeri rune page is Lethal Tempo, Overheal, Legend Alacrity and Cutdown, with Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunt as secondary. Lethal Tempo is a must-have on Zeri, and no individual Zeri playstyle can change anything about this. You want to punish the enemy for taking longer fights with you by stacking this keystone and your ult at the same time to then go crazy against them. And just in case you are a newer Zeri player, yes, Lethal Tempo fully works with Zeri's Q, including the bonus range. Overheal is a great rune for late game scaling. Triumph would be better on champions who need to duke it out in lane, but since Zeri wants to stay safe anyway, Overheal is the natural choice. Additionally, the shield also occasionally triggers Zeri's passive movement speed bonus, which is nice to have. Legend Alacrity is kind of interesting though. You might assume that you would prefer the late game power of Bloodline, but Alacrity is actually super important. Zeri has to be able to push the wave fast enough in order for her laning strategy to work, but her Q auto attacks are really her only tool for that. As a consequence, the little bit of early front-loaded attack speed this rune provides goes a long way, making your lane phase wave control that much more consistent. Cutdown in the last slot on the precision path should be self-explanatory though, as you, again, want to avoid early fights as much as possible. This means that Coup de Grace would be bad synergy, as it is best during early skirmishes. Cutdown, on the other hand, scales your late game damage, making you even more dangerous once lane phase is over. Now the secondary runes are quite interesting again, since most Zeri players go for the resolve path, but the rank 1 player chooses domination instead. But since you've seen the in-game examples, it should be obvious. Consistency is key in solo queue, and if you want to be able to consistently cast your ult in every single fight, Ultimate Hunter is a must-have. The rank 1 player commits to using this spell every single time, so this minor rune here is really the key to his playstyle. Additionally, Taste of Blood is also phenomenal, since it is one of the best runes for early game safety, which is also a big deal if you want to reach Zeri's late game consistently. For the item build, you, as mentioned, want to start with Cull. But then you rush Berserker's Greaves and get Shield Bow, Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge every single game in this exact order. Again, you need attack speed in order to manipulate the wave to your liking with Zeri's Q, so Berserker's Greaves is the perfect rush item for your lane phase. Boots are also always a defensive purchase with their movement speed, and giving the enemy as little opportunity as possible to punish Zeri's weak laning is at the core of the rank 1 player's strategy. Shield Bow adds another defensive layer on top, and due to its lifeline passive, it perfectly synergizes with Zeri's own passive. Therefore, it is a common pick for any Zeri player, not just the rank 1 player. But the next item, Phantom Dancer, is a custom choice again, fitting igigoshphpiaa's unique playstyle. Most other Zeri players pick Runaan's Hurricane here so they can clear waves faster and deal more damage in teamfights. But igigoshphpiaa realized that Zeri doesn't need more teamfight damage, realistically speaking. She needs more safety instead, and the extra movement speed from Phantom Dancer provides exactly that. Teamfights are much easier to navigate with this item, making it also significantly harder for the enemy to run out of your ultimate once they have committed to the fight. Infinity Edge is a must-have for any late-game crit marksman, as it greatly amplifies your DPS. Afterwards, you also always want to buy a Last Whisper item, and here you of course either go for Mortal Reminder or Lord Doms, depending on which passive effect would be more valuable. The last item can be the ever so popular Runaan's Hurricane if you want, but any defensive item like Guardian Angel is just as good of course. As I've mentioned, one key problem for the strategy is knowing when to group with your team and when to farm side lanes. It takes skill to make the right call every time, but my AD Carry macro guide can help you with that. Just click the link on your screen right there.